Hey friends, it's time for another edition of What Would You Make? Hosted by OK at Home DIY and Marsha's Mush and Stuff, and the guest host is Kiki's DIYs. Links to their channels and the playlist in the description box. Right, for my first project, I'm using one of these signs from the Dollar Tree. And I am gonna continue with my gingerbread slash sweets Christmas theme. I'm gonna start out with my Dremel and cut out some of the windows. I'm gonna use this as a sign in my kitchen, but I'm gonna add some illumination and I need some of these windows cut out. All the window pieces that I want cut out are removed, and this frame popped off when I was doing the cutting. So now I'm just going to move on to using my Dremel to smooth out the areas that I cut out. And to build out the back, I'm going to use these giant craft sticks from Walmart and just measure them to the size of the sides and trim them accordingly. Lavender Sachet by Apple Barrel. This will be the main color for the house and my side pieces. Got matte white Apple Barrel paint for my trim pieces. Okay, so I'm going to use this seashell pink. This is one of the paints that Plaid sent me. It's a folk art. I've decided that I'm going to make the door a different color than the house. I couldn't decide if I wanted to just make everything purple or lavender with the white trim, but I think the white door, the pink door would be better. Lime sorbet from Ceramicoat. I'm gonna put this on the trees. So everything has got like a white candy type color. And then I can add faux frosting to this and it all stays in the same feeling of light, like marshmallowy type colors. Then I glued the window frame back on that popped off when I was cutting out the wood pieces, and then I painted in the wood areas that I left with matte Daybreak from Folk Art. Hologram extreme glitter paint for the windows. With the glitter and the windows dry, I flip it over so I can start adding wood glue to the pieces that will build out the house, so it doesn't really, the back doesn't directly scrape against the wall or the door when I hang it up. This will help it sit out a bit. And then I add a little hot glue to the pieces for a quick hold until the wood glue fully sets. And I'm going to use these pastel beads from the Crafter Square area of Dollar Tree as candy on this little house because I am a Christmas maniac, and I was so happy when I saw these in the store. I was like, yes, that's going on my candy house. I found these baby shower favors at Dollar Tree and thought they would be perfect on a candy house. So I'm just going to hot glue these down so it looks like I have little gummy bears on the front of this house, and the colors complement the little beads perfectly. This little wreath was in a grab bag of items from Amazon with like little faux candies, and some of them are Christmas themed. So this fits perfectly to add on this front door. Now I'm adding 3D puff paint I found at Dollar Tree around all of the areas that I painted white to really make it look like there's frosting there, and trim around the door as well. All that puff paint is dry and it looks like real frosting. I love it. Now it's time to kick it up a notch with this extreme glitter from Folk Art to make it look like everything has been sprinkled with sugar, and I'm applying this all over everywhere where the frosting is, the gummy bears, the door, the tree, all of the little beads. And here it is with all of the glitter paint dry. The little gummy bears just look so adorable and delicious. All of the beads look like little pieces of candy. I am really enjoying all these sweets projects lately. I feel like I'm turning into Willy Wonka. So I'm just going to add a piece of pink and white gingham as the hanger on this house. Okay. I have fastener dots and this little lighted Lego block. It's a make it block. They come 2 for $1 in the toy section at Dollar Tree. I swear it seems like I have more fun going to the toy aisle than my son does, because I'm always looking for something fun that I can use in a craft. But this will be inside. Isn't that cool? You have to use this little peg to turn it on and off. I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you on board. And ring the bell icon so you're notified every time I upload a new video. Here are some recent posts from OK at Home, Zaina, Marsha from Marsha's Mush and Stuff, and the guest host Kiki. Please go show their channel some love. I took my long paint stir stick and laid it out on my scrap wood and just marked off where I wanted the bottom of the sled to be. Initially, I had it a little bit shorter, and then I figured I better make it just a bit longer just in case. And then I just went ahead and put it in the miter box and started to cut. This piece of wood that I'm cutting, I got this for free at Home Depot. The aisle where they do the wood cutting, they have a bin for their scraps, and you can just go by and grab them. And the large sections of wood that they have, they're separated by pieces like this and pieces that are just a bit bigger. And they'll be just like laying on the floor on the aisles, and you can just pick them up and they don't care. Now with my pieces cut, I start assembling how I want the top portion of the sled to look, and I use Gorilla wood glue to adhere everything, and then I go back with my staple gun. I'm so excited for how my sled will turn out, but I can't help but laugh to myself that I'm building a sled in October in South Florida. Yeah, I'm kind of crazy. The cross beams are the excess pieces that I just sliced off from the bottom portion of the sled, and the pieces on the very ends are pieces of scrap wood as well that I cut to size according to the large paint stir sticks. The very outside pieces are thicker than those stir sticks, so I'm securing these down with some wire nails. And now I'm going to assemble the leg pieces using these tower blocks, and I'm gluing these in sets of 2s. I'm going to end up using 8 blocks for each leg. And I'm using a Rust-Oleum 2-in-1 stain and polyurethane and American walnut. On this underside, I started staining all of the pieces except for the cross beams because I stopped and I grabbed my leg pieces, and I wanted to finish doing the actual construction before I finished off with the staining. Now moving on to gluing down the leg pieces with some Gorilla wood glue, and then I move on from there to go ahead and stain the bottom portion of the sled. Now that the glue is set up enough, I flip this over, and then I just use some wire nails to make sure that the legs are extra secure onto the sled. So I do a dry fit of the bottom pieces, and then I add my Gorilla Glue, and I use a box as a guide to make sure that they are even, and then I just replace the top to let the glue set up a bit before I start to nail the pieces down. So I get my little wire nails and I just double check that I'm going to be nailing down into the correct area. Then I just start to hammer these down to make sure that the bottom portion is secure onto the legs, and finish off my last piece I needed to nail, and then I flip it over and take a look, and looking pretty good so far. And now I can go back and stain the legs and the under portion that's holding up the legs now that everything else has been nailed down securely. Using these wreath hangers I found after Christmas last year, I want these to be the very front part of the sled that goes through the snow. So I just kind of bent it a little bit in the front to see how it would look, and I thought I was going to use that part, and I started bending both ends to see how it would look, and I brought it back inside and actually used some of the DollarTree garden snippers, and it ended up that the part that actually hangs over the door kind of stuck out up and out better, so I ended up using that for the front part of the sled. So with the bottom pieces cut, I'm using this epoxy that sets up in 5 minutes. I found this at Dollar Tree. It's by the Crazy Glue brand, and I mix it together, and then when it gets cloudy, you go ahead and put it on whatever you're going to adhere, and you have a few minutes before it starts to set up. And so I'm using my clamps to make sure that these are flat down onto my pieces of wood, and then I just leave them to set up. And then I brought it back inside and I added felt pads on the bottom so the floor doesn't get scratched up. And this is how it looks all done, and I love it. And I would love to know, what do you think of my little decorative sled? And I'll probably decorate it something like this with just a few presents on it, or maybe a little snowman or something, some elves. I love the way it looks. And here's a look back at my candy house. I hope you guys have enjoyed my video today and enjoy the playlist.